Close to the polar circle in the north of Sweden lies the legendary testing grounds of Arvidsjaur. On a frozen lake with an ice layer of almost a meter, even an airplane could touch down. This is where the car industry tests their existing and future vehicles, finding out if they master the freezing temperatures of up to -40 degrees and the constant power and friction applied to the engine, clutch and transmission. In winter time, only a few hours of sunlight remain. Time is precious before the last rays disappear into the northern night. This place is also special to me. 5 years ago, my drifting story began right here. For the first time on a frozen lake, I realized that this is the ultimate form of driving. Challenging, treacherous, yet the most fun you can have on 4 wheels. With speed and agility, but in a smooth way, a controlled ballet with throttle and steering. On that day in January, I also met the ultimate form of a Volkswagen Golf, the Mark 7 Golf R that was introduced right here. It is the day I really learned how to do this.
Join me on this ride.
Let me tell you here about the Golf R, that in the front, since the facelift, you always get LED headlamps from standard equipment. You get that for the high trim Golf versions and also for those special sport versions with a nice LED daytime running light as well, the R badge and a stronger lower bumper. 4.26 meters, 14 foot or 168 inches is the length of this hatch Golf R. There's also the variant available, the estate version. We also have a review of that on Autogefühl. This one here is the 5-door version of the hatch. There's also 3 doors still available, not for the base Golfs, but for those performance Golfs. Those ones are 17-inch wheels, so you can fit those winter tires on that. Bigger ones do not make sense here. Usually it comes with 18-inch, an option you can get 19-inch. Then also the so-called performance pack with bigger brakes even, and also with the Autogefühl exhaust. We also have that mounted on this very vehicle. When you have LEDs in the front, like here with the Golf R, you also have those LEDs in the rear with this turning indicator that is in a cascading style. Is a very nice feature that adds some more specialty to the car. Here then the optional Autogefühl exhaust, which was not available, was recently found out for the Golf GTI TCR. That one remains exclusive for the Golf R and surely adds some more sound. Well, this one here is a 2-liter TSI turbo petrol engine. Since the facelift is 310 horsepower, so a little 10 horsepower more. 4.6 seconds is the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. It has been improved. 4.6 here with the DSG, the new 7-speed DSG. This one is actually also the very best test for this one. First of all, for the all-wheel drive system, because it is here basically front-wheel drive plus rear-wheel drive on demand. Maximum of 50-50 distribution. But with the Golf R, with so much performance, then of course more and more power is being transported to the rear wheels. And here, we know on those snowy tracks here, we can really test it very well. Does the clutch do any overheating? Or is the all-wheel drive system coming to a point where it's somehow not working anymore? If that would be overheating, then it would be front wheel drive only, and the system would say, before I damage anything, I completely declutch the rear drive, and that's it. See about the interior here. Take a good look. Great build quality from the Golf. That's what is basically all distinguishing from its competitors. Soft touch in the front part. It's not in the back part of the rear doors though. Then this inlet here, you can pick different choices. Then this one has a carbon style. It's a carbon fabric, so to say. Leatherette soft arm cover. Pretty compact steering wheel. Cruise control on the left side. You also have a volume control here at the steering wheel. Then those digital instruments are optional for the Golf R. You can also go with the analog ones. With the Golf GTI TCR, for example, and the GTI Performance, those come as standard. With the Golf R, you could still go for the standard ones. But it looks more modern, makes the car also, let's say, less dated since the facelift. Interior overview of the Golf R, soft touch here at the top dashboard. Oh. Well, this area does create some matting, but only when you really touch it down, like very hard. But the question is also, who would ever do that? The only thing I don't like is this split right here, because this is one part and this is one part that is, has a better solution in the Seat Leon, for example, where you have this rather horizontal layout in this over part. I'm really interested to see if they change that in the next generation. 8-inch screen would be standard. This one is the optional 9.2, which then also has this gesture function, but you can surely live without it. The smaller one has the advantage that you can still have some knobs here for volume and for zooming in on the map. This one here is all with those capacitive buttons. It looks cleaner, of course, and the screen is a little bit more fancy. But again, the smaller one has also those advantages if you prefer those knobs. Let's get in the rear. Oh, I forgot the shoe tab. Don't want to bring snow in the car. A little bit too late. I still remembered it. Well, I do fit in here. So with 4 tall Ls you can drive, even though you don't have plenty of legroom. Also a big middle tunnel with the all-wheel drive system. That will change when the new electric cars will be coming more and more to the market. Then there will be no middle tunnel. Now it's still pretty clean, but I can tell you yesterday everything was already covered in ice and we were still able to flip the logo and open the trunk. I was really keen on that. Really interesting. So this is a racing review, probably the only one where you can also see in a racing review someone is using a measuring stick. That's Autogefühl, only with the Germans. So, this is a standard backpack. You can see also the size relation in here, and the length is 75 centimeters, as well as the width is always about a meter, even a little bit more than a meter. So actually quite square dimensions, and the height to the cover right there, about 43 centimeters. So let's do what we came here for. Welcome to Thomas's ice driving school. And I'm in ESC off, manual mode, race mode. So I got the shifting stick to the right side. The car only shifts up when it hits the rev limiter, so it's not always staying in the gear. So the DSG has to shift at some point. But of course it gives me more manual freedom. Here I'm going to first gear. This hairpin corner. The rest of the track I'm rather using in second gear, now turning the car, and here's now steering with the throttle a little bit. Loose snow right and left. So we can use a little bit of snow plowing then here. This is a long left hand. Look at that. This is so great. Now I think I get a little bit more throttle. Here we go. And yeah, here about the Golf, again, you can feel it's a good weight balance. It's a neutral car, especially with the overdrive, very well to control. You can see here, pull it smoothly through this circle. And when you just have, for example, a lot of power on the rear axle, it can be really much harder to do that. Of course, you get around those corners maybe a little bit better because you can slide around all the way. But this one, you see, also with the overdrive, it works very well. Although there basically never more power on the rear axle than on the front axle. But you can initiate it a little bit. For example, also when you're here in front of a corner and then use a downshift and use the engine brake. And that also helps them to shift the weight. The rear gets light and then it's actually easier to put the car around. That's very interesting. This one is also very interesting because we got some snow here on the track. So you can see it flies up. One corner, little bit counter steering, and here we go again. So when you're doing it the very first time, you go slowly, bit by bit. And then there comes a phase where you're maybe a little bit hectic or something, and you hit the throttle too much. And that's then also the situation where you might go off track or something. And well, in this track here, it's quite, forgiving because there's a soft snow plow. It has been snowing in a lot recently. But sometimes you have those tracks where you have some hard pack walls. Look at it. This is so cool. So you have some hard pack walls right and left, and then it can be really damaging the car. Also, the track is a little bit blown out from, well, myself already like this. But it's really cool. And also for co-driver, for example, Jonas right here. When we are on the dry race track somewhere, it's harder for the co-driver definitely because there are more G-force applied. Here we have definitely more drifting, but everything is like, this winter belay, and so it's also more forgiving for the co-driver. That's a really interesting aspect here too. Right and left, maybe you prefer drifting to one side or the other. This one is such an interesting corner. At first I was not, I had to learn this corner first. You have to be fast enough on the corner before to put the car that way, that you then can turn around the rear in the other direction. So if you're not fast enough in the corner before, it won't work in the next corner. Very interesting for sure. Yeah, this DSG is working very well. Although I've been driving the manual version in 2.14 and that was also cool. Basically you need the second gear and that's it. Sometimes I'm here back to the first gear. I wouldn't do that with the manual, but with the DSG is definitely easier to do that for sure. So now we go with the ESC off again, and you can clearly see the difference. And especially also when I'm putting my foot on the throttle with the ESC, I could punch it all the way through and the system would intervene, and here of course it does not do that. So I really hope you enjoy that track here with me, because I drove it a little bit out. You can also see the darker surface here underneath the snow. That also helps it to realize it on camera just a bit, because it's hard to see in general in comparison to a dry racetrack, for example. Wow, the snow has really picked up just right for our conclusion for the day with the Golf R Mark 7.5. So I think it was very interesting today together with you. The Golf itself, it has aged pretty well. Some of you said that as well, both on the exterior and the interior. The facelift added some more digital features, of course, and a little bit more power. But most important, of course, this change to the 7-speed DSG with the wet clutch. And we really have to say, I mean, we really hammered this car and there was no technical incident. Even though it's such a normal and standard car. It's the most sold car in Germany. It's also one of the most sold cars worldwide then, together with the Jetta, with the sedan version of the Golf. But yet again, if you put a strong engine in it, maybe some more sound, especially throwing it sideways, it becomes not only a normal car, but also something pretty unique for sure. And of course, the great handling you could test here on those snow tracks, showing that although it's basically a front-wheel drive platform and a compact hatch, it really has some strengths in this, light building style and a great agility because it's so well balanced. So definitely one of the best cars, also normal, ordinary people without being super great racing drivers can do some great lap times both on the dry and also some fun stuff here on the snow tracks.